It's my feel-good breakfast show.
You are indeed tuned into your Feel Good Breakfast Show Expresso right here on S3. It's wonderful to be in your company. Right now we are diving into a rather vital topic as we shed light on National Epilepsy Week this week. And joining us this morning, we have Dr. Wendy Neff, Director of Epilepsy South Africa for the Western Cape branch, and their esteemed social worker, Matthew Weber. Dr. Neff, Matthew, welcome to the show. Lovely to have you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very, very important week. We do share it with Valentine's Day, but nonetheless, very, very important to shed light on epilepsy. And I would like to know from you, first and foremost, Dr. Wendy, talk to me about this particular week. Please unpack it for us. What exactly does it entail?
Okay. National Epilepsy Week is a program of action. And every day there are different activities, which we can find on the website.
Okay, what is that website?
Epilepsy South Africa.
Epilepsy South Africa.
.org.za.
Right.
Okay, so you can find it there, but the purpose is really to create a space where people can understand what epilepsy is, know how to manage the person, also to be with the person after the recovery, and you'll see that later, and then also to raise awareness about the legislation. Legislation is in place to manage people with disabilities, but it's the implementation of the legislation that is sorely lacking. And there are many reasons for that. Capacity, etc., etc. But we use it in different ways through including our health and human rights programs. It's included in the management. And then also, the biggest thing for me is to provide an inclusive society where people with epilepsy can be incorporated in mainstream schools, tertiary education, and then employment, because that is what improves people's quality of life. So this is what Epilepsy South Africa, and we have a symposium on Wednesday, which is the 14th.
Yes.
And as you say, St. Valentine, apparently, he was a patron saint of epilepsy. So this is where the red comes in.
I see. Look,
you know, it hasn't been proven.
Yeah.
It hasn't been, obviously, we wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Of course we'll take it. It's a double celebration for us.
Exactly.
There we go.
Listen, I like that. Look, it seems like you've got your work cut out for you, because I really do feel that epilepsy is a condition that I think is largely misunderstood.
Yeah.
Especially if you haven't dealt with it yourself or knows of someone in your own personal space. Who can get epilepsy? How does it work? Are you born with it? Do you develop it?
Epilepsy can develop at any stage. After birth, right through teenagers, and then into adulthood. There is no discrimination about, well, we say gender and race and ethnicity. There's nothing. And often, children with epilepsy could outgrow, as they say, they could outgrow the seizures. Okay, and we'll talk about the difference between seizures and epilepsy.
Yeah.
So it happens to anybody. Here in South Africa, of course, with a high level of violence, head injuries, anything else besides the injuries, it could be also part of your nerve cells, which is damaged. And that causes the epilepsy to come. And there are different types of epilepsies. And for us, the important role that we must do is to inform people about the different types of epilepsies so that they would know how to manage the particular person.
Yeah, I think this is why a week like this is so important, because it really comes down to that education and informing people so that we are in the know. Matthew, I want to come to you. I mean, of course, I mentioned, you know, that it's largely misunderstood by a lot of people. So I think there's still a lot of stigma connected to the epilepsy condition.
Correct.
What are some of those stigmas, and how do we break this?
Well, very importantly, a person living with epilepsy, I think they experience a lot of stigma, as you say. And it is throughout history that we know that epilepsy as a condition has been seen in a very negative light. And the treatment and experience by a person with that has this condition of epilepsy experience this stigma, and this includes unfair treatment by family, by friends, by colleagues, and this, for example, makes them feel isolated and alone, maybe afraid of coming out of their house to experience the fulfillment or life fulfillments. And I am of the view that just breaking the stigma, I think we just need to break down the myths and misconceptions within our communities. I think that is very important. And then also there's a lot of information that is available online where people can read and educate themselves, which is very important. Educating themselves in a way of understanding this condition of epilepsy.
Exactly.
And by doing that, they will make it easier for someone that is living with epilepsy to actually be included in society. I think inclusion is very important. And therefore, in terms of making them included and making them feel part of society, we need to break down that stigma.
And that comes from the understanding of what epilepsy really is all about. Like I said, you can't just pinpoint it as to one. There's many factors at play here. Dr. Wendy, just quickly that website, because I know I encourage everyone at home to get involved in this week as well and educate yourself around it. epilepsysouthafrica.org.za, is that what you mentioned?
Obviously, www.
Yeah, for sure. But log on to that website and really go educate yourself and look at the conditions. And there's a lot of information there. But this is also, once again, why a week like this is so important, to really understand what it is all about. But we've got lots more to cover. Don't go anywhere. Dr. Wendy is still with us in just a bit.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You are tuned into your Feel Good Breakfast Show, Expresso, right here on S3. So far, so good. What a Tuesday. It's wonderful. Right now, that we are back with Dr. Wendy Neft. Of course, Dr. Wendy is the Director of Epilepsy South Africa for the Western Cape branch. Matthew is also joining us, a social worker, this morning to continue our discussion around National Epilepsy Week. Thank you very much. Thanks for staying.
No, it's our pleasure.
It's fun here with us. It's fun here with
We've got
us.
so much to share.
You really do. I mean, because there is so much to cover.
Correct.
We spoke about the importance of this week. We spoke about who can get epilepsy and some of the reasons behind it. I know that we've barely touched the surface. There's really so much. So we do encourage everyone to go onto that website, epilepsysouthafrica.org.za. But there's another way that
Yes, no, I wanted to expand on that. It's a national website. We're a national organization, branches in different provinces.
Yes.
So when you go to the website, you'll see the map of South Africa, and you click on the Western Cape link, or you click on Gauteng, Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga, Knysna, and then you'll get the full details.
Okay.
So it's quite a very user-friendly. And then most importantly is that the drop-down boxes, there's one about epilepsy facts. So you'll get all the information, up-to-date information on that drop-down box. So people must just look out for that. So
yeah,
yes,
fantastic.
correct.
So if you have a moment in your lunch break, maybe today, go and have a read instead of scrolling down your social medias. Dr. Wendy, so when it comes to epilepsy and seizures specifically, I think we all have a visual image of what happens. We've seen it on, our TV screens and all over the place. But maybe a first-hand explanation as to how do we manage? Should you come across somebody that's having a seizure, how do we deal with that situation?
Correct. Very simple. First of all, obviously the person could be in a crowd. When the person is in a crowd, you ask the people to stand aside, and then you reassure people first that everything is okay.
Okay.
Then when the seizure starts, you need to start timing the seizure. But while you're doing that, you've got to be careful of injuries to the head. And mostly the person is lying back, and the head could be
Because of the convulsions going on.
So you turn the person over to recovery position, loosen anything tight that's there. Recovery position, because this will help open the airways so that the person can breathe. So after that, you reassure the person during the seizure. And remember, you can't stop a seizure, and I think that's important. You can't stop it.
Okay.
And you can't put the myths about putting spoons in your mouth. You know, there are
I wanted to
various
ask you
different-
because, I mean, that's one of
Correct.
the things that, I mean,
That's the
we've
most
seen.
common one.
Yeah.
That's the most common one. And what actually happens is that the person, the muscles in the mouth, they start clamping like that. So the person could injure itself. And obviously teeth also.
Yeah.
So please put nothing, no fire, no spoons, nothing else in the person's mouth. In fact, open the mouth. Because often there could be a bit of saliva coming down.
Of course.
And then, of course, you assist the person with that. And you continuously.
Yeah.
If a seizure lasts longer than 6 minutes, you call an ambulance.
Sure.
If the person doesn't recover. So it's ongoing for 6 minutes. The person can have some,
Yeah.
you know,
What is
serious.
the general time that you've seen in terms of
Well,
the seizure?
on average, would be between, I think, 3 and 4.5, 5.
Minutes.
You know, when it gets to 4.5, 5, 6,
Yeah, then you're
then,
into
then
that
you
red
become
zone now.
cautious. Then you
Yeah.
become a bit cautious. Because there could be other factors that needs medical attention.
Yeah.
Another thing is, do not give the person his anti-epileptic medication.
During.
That is not going to help.
Yeah.
Okay, often people think pop the pill and then the seizure will stop. Please, I'm asking the audience, don't do anything to the person's mouth. We all know the recovery position, which is on your side, leg crossed over, because that opens the
Open that
airways.
whole airway.
And then the person can. And you wait until the person or the seizure has abated, and then you sit there and calm and explain what happened. Because for those few minutes, the person are not aware
Yeah.
of what is happening.
Yeah, and they might wake
So
up in a shock.
They'll
and
wake
there's
up in a
people
shock.
standing
Where
around.
am I?
Yeah.
Who are all these people and who are you? You know, the person who's doing the management, they might not know.
Yeah, exactly.
So you explain to them that this is what happened. Also, so people often talk about the memory loss. You know, it's important that you do talk to the person and explain where you are, etc., etc. And once the person is relaxed, then it's fine. And as I said, just to go back to the head, it's very important because the injury is from the head and not from the seizure. So grab your arm under the person's head while the person is shaking. And next, if you see a pillow there, you put the pillow,
The pillow underneath.
a jacket, anything.
So what I'm hearing is just to make the individual as comfortable as possible. Don't try to
Correct.
stop the seizure. It's got to run its course. Longer than 6 minutes, we need to call an ambulance. Time it, if you can, from the very get-go.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Look, there's a lot of information. Dr.
Absolutely.
Wendy, thank you. Matthew, thank you very much for sitting
a
in as
pleasure.
well and giving
It's a
your
pleasure.
piece of advice as well. I think there's really a lot to take on board and once again highlights the importance of National Epilepsy Week. So as we close, let's remember the importance of raising awareness and supporting those affected by epilepsy. And together we can make a difference in the lives of individuals and families impacted by this condition. So what you can do is visit epilepsy.org.za or epilepsysouthafrica.org.za for more on this condition and also information. Go and educate yourself because that is where it all starts. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much for having us.
Pleasure. Such a pleasure.